Hi, this is Kim Nicholson, VP of Ag Tech and Innovation for the Mosaic Company. I'd like to spend our time together today with three primary goals: sharing a bit about our company, some insights on what we see as some emerging technology trends for agriculture, and finally, how Mosaic is putting all of this into action. First, for those of you who may not be familiar with Mosaic, we are a mining company focused on food. We're the largest integrated producer and marketer of phosphate and potash and focused on the mission to help the world grow the food it needs. We're a new old company. While we were officially formed in 2004 as a combo of IMC and Cargill, we have over 100 years of history in mining phosphate in the US and 50 years mining here in Canada. We operate in 40 countries around the world. Most of our employee base is concentrated where we mine in the Americas, the US, Canada, and Brazil, and also in our distribution businesses in China and India. Joint ventures in Peru and Saudi Arabia extend our efforts in those regions. We mine above ground in the United States and Brazil, and below ground here in Canada. We produce both commodity and also value added products like microessentials, K-Mag, Aspire, and Pegasus. What you may not realize about Mosaic is that we also have significant mining and commercial operations in Brazil, where we produce a similar range of products and market them to producers in Brazil. At Mosaic, we're very committed and purposeful with regard to sustainability, with 13 targets and 12 key priority areas. Sustainability is not new or a fad at Mosaic. We've been committed to strong corporate responsibility since our founding, and we've been recognized as a leader in this area for well over a decade. Three key themes of food, water, and communities overarch all of our goals. And I'll be speaking a little bit about that later on those specific targets. But that's enough about us. You wanted me to share some key trends in agriculture. While there's much going on in the agribusiness world, much more than I'll cover here, I wanted to focus in on four key things that Mosaic is watching develop and the trends emerging around these areas. The first thing is the rise of the robots. The next is the data to decision trend, the protein evolution, and finally, soil as the new frontier. So let's start with the rise of the robots. Robots and autonomous operations are on the rise across many industries. Agriculture is no exception. While the pace of adoption has been a bit slower than in other industries, robotics are already here in agriculture. AutoSteer is one of the most widely adopted pieces of tech in ag, with nearly 70% of farms in North America having one or more AutoSteer devices on the farm. Robotic milking has been in use for nearly 20 years now. Labor shortages and the drive for ever improved efficiency continue to push forward the adoption of robots. Robots and autonomy are a journey ag has been on now for over 20 years. Precision ag got its real momentum with the adoption of AutoSteer and the ability to digitize field maps. These technologies enabled coordination of activities with many of our common practices, things like nozzle and section control for precision spreading and spraying, both variable rate and more recently variable hybrid seeding. And in the last 1 to 2 years, we've begun to see more supervised autonomy, things like smart autonomous grain carts paired with the combine, precision enabled drone spraying, and robot assistants that follow operators in the field. Where we see robots going next is essentially full autonomy, where the robot performs the service, an example such as harvesting without supervision. A sure sign that the sector's trending is the number of mergers, acquisitions, and investment activity. Small robotics companies like Dot, SmartAg, Augmenta, Bear Flag Robotics, and others have seen unprecedented activity recently. The larger equipment manufacturers look to lock up this technology and enhance their offerings in this space. All of this activity in robots and autonomy ties to the next trend, and that's data to decisions. This has certainly been another journey for the industry. In the 80s and 90s, we just got good at collecting data from machines like tractors and combines, soil data, moisture data, weather data, things like image data from satellites and drones. As we rolled into the 2000s, we honed our ability to organize and manipulate that data. And this is when we saw a proliferation of software and platforms. We're now in the age of truly creating decisions from data with the rise of machine learning, use of algorithms, and artificial and predictive intelligence. As we are beginning to collect and understand the implications of agricultural data and our quest for refined and increased productivity, much like most of the industrial world, use cases are only limited by your imagination. Data to decision is actually already here. I've listed here a couple of very basic scenarios that are already in practice today. So, for instance, how do we refine pest protection of our crops? Satellite imagery monitors the growth and health of the crop. It sends readings to the cloud. Problem areas are identified, and prescriptions are generated and fed to application machinery to address the problem. Weather, always the highest level variable for most of production agriculture, can now be an asset. Weather stations monitoring the field and at the microclimate level feed their data to the cloud as well, and alerts can be sent to the palm of a producer's hand advising the optimum time to spray or to spread, or to potentially irrigate. So let me shift gears and spend a few moments on the next key trend, the protein evolution. Protein is a critical part of our nutrition. Every cell in our bodies contains protein. It's essential to help your body repair cells and to make new ones. It's also a critical need for growth and development of all living things. Therefore, consuming healthy proteins in our diet is just a must. Many of us consume protein from meat or animal products, but animal protein production continues to come under attack from both its environmental impacts as well as animal welfare concerns. Therefore, alternative forms of protein are certainly on the rise. Plant-based protein is rising in popularity. Many of you have enjoyed some form of plant-based protein, even if it's a simple spoon of peanut butter. However, technology developments like alternative plant-based proteins, for example, the Impossible or Beyond Meat, and eventually cell-based, lab-grown, or cultured protein to create plant-based meat, dairy, and even seafood are on the rise. Even the harvesting of insect protein is seeing a dramatic rise in level of interest. For our final trend, let me share a bit about the soil as a new frontier and a space where Mosaic is very active in technology development. For centuries, we've looked to the stars in the sky for inspiration and with a sense of curiosity. Our modern space pioneers have set their sights on a trip to Mars, believed to be the next most inhabitable planet. But for those of us in agriculture, we're starting to look down at our feet and at the incredible wealth and diversity of life in our soils, as well as the critical role it plays in both achieving production goals and sustainability goals. We certainly believe it's the next frontier, our own Mars shot, if you will. There's certainly a lot of discussion around soil health and the role our practices play in tackling this new frontier. At Mosaic, we tend to lean towards the more holistic view of healthy soils. And what are the components? Well, crop nutrition is certainly critical, but how we think about water, productivity, function, sustainability must all be considered for a robust and sustainable and highly productive growing environment. Mosaic's pursuit of a healthy soil is multifaceted and growing. It starts with the foundational benefits of base and balanced crop nutrition. Beyond that, new technology is providing an interesting new tools for us in the area of advanced crop nutrition. We've recently partnered with 4 startup companies, Anuvia, Bioconsortia, AgBiome, and Sound Agriculture, that we believe are bringing novel and innovative solutions for our holistic view of soil health. We're not just exploring product solutions at Mosaic, we're also thinking about that intersection of precision, data, and crop nutrition that I discussed in Key Trends. We're looking not just at the what, but also the how. We're looking into systems solutions, so looking at sensors and software to monitor in-season crop health and be able to detect crop deficiencies. But we need products. Many of our products are optimized to be applied ahead of the growing season. So we're looking for technologies that can meet the crop's nutrition needs at critical points during the growing season. This also probably means we need new equipment that can be used to feed a growing or a maturing crop. So, how do we put this all into action? Achieving key goals of lasting environmental health, economic profitability for our producers, our industry, and social and economic equity is no small feat. It's a problem with many interlocking variables, but throughout history, complex problems have been solved by bringing together like minded parties with a common goal, then recognizing the strength of each of those parties and using that knowledge to amplify the collective. That's how we solve the really big challenges. If you recall in my earlier slides, I spoke about communities as a key theme, along with food and water in our efforts. The indigenous communities are no exception as we focus on how to make both our company and all of the communities that we serve more resilient. We have a vision here at Mosaic that fostering relationships with the indigenous communities will only ensure that our workforce, our supply chain, and our overall corporate health remain strong. We have very specific measured and tracked targets that you can see here in three key areas: in the area of vendors and supply chain, hiring and retention, and an already established metric of ensuring that at least 15% of our current community investments are directed to Indigenous communities and their projects. Thank you for giving me this time today to share a bit about our company, our view on a few of the key trends we see impacting agriculture, and how Mosaic is addressing some of those trends, and how we're taking action to achieve our mission of helping the world grow the food it needs.